This film deals with missing persons and violent crime. The story you are about to see is a fictionalized investigation inspired by 1930s small-town reports. We avoid graphic detail and focus on memory, investigation, and consequence. A lonely inventor. A drifter who never returned. A basement full of strange machines and a detective who walked into a house no one wanted to unlock. What happened next still haunts the town. In 1929, Joseph Schmitzky arrived in Hamburg, Ohio, a small industrial town tempered by river mists and factory which he rented an old Victorian on the edge of town and devoted himself to tinkering. Locals watched him from a distance. At first, it was simple curiosity. Odd lights flickering at night, late-night deliveries, and a house filled with an almost constant mechanical clatter. Later, that curiosity turned to worry. A small but noticeable number of disappearances began to trouble the community. The unease grew when a drifter named Nico Williams, last seen near Schmitzky's property, seemed to vanish without a trace. Missing persons were unfortunately common in those tough decades. People left town looking for work, rode the freight trains out of state, or sometimes, tragically, fell into the river. But this chimney families of the missing began to see a disturbing pattern. Several witnesses placed the drifter Nico right near Schmitzky's porch the night before he vanished. An anonymous tip to the local constable alleged loud, mechanical noises coming from the house, along with what sounded like muffled shouting. The local detective, Bob Rosenthal, logged the complaint. But, with no hard evidence to go on, the file remained open, unresolved. Achi first. Detective Bob Rosenthal was a man used to small crimes, broken windows, petty theft, not labyrinthine horrors. He was a practical man in an impractical world. But the rumors in Hamburg grew louder. Marty insistent. Whispers turned into open accusations. On the evening of August 3rd, 1931, with the town as fear reaching a fever pitch, Rosenthal decided to approach the vacant house himself. He went at night, hoping the cover of darkness would help him find the answers the daylight could not provide. The scene he entered would change his life and the town's story forever. Basements in old Victorian houses are always half storage, half mystery. But Schmitzky's Kies was something else entirely. It was less a workshop and more a maze of obsession. Shelves were lined with gears of all sizes, glass jars with faded, unreadable labels, and dozens of small, intricate mechanical constructions. Nothing about it was straightforward. Nothing was easy to explain. Rosenthal's flashlight beam cut through the dusty air, revealing hidden panels and a door concealed behind a stack of old crates. According to the town legend, he pulled a lever, and the house itself seemed to rearrange around him. Investigators later discovered what they officially called compartments, hidden spaces, concealed behind shifting walls and false floors. We will not show or describe what was found in those spaces. The official file, which has been fictionalized for this account, is chilling in its brevity, noting only the discovery of personal effects and evidence of long-term confinement. As Rosenthal turned to leave with his notes, a figure emerged from a shadowed corner. It was Joseph Schmitzky himself. The inventor hadn't fled. He had been there all along. The man's face was calm, his eyes unreadable. The detective later reported a tense, silent exchange, a measure of menace that hung heavy in the air. What happened next is contested. Some accounts say Rosenthal, terrified, fled back to the window and escaped into the night. Others claim the investigator barely made it out alive after a brief, violent struggle. We present both versions as part of the fractured memory of that night. Official records show that Detective Rosenthal filed a warrant the very next morning. The sheriff's office descended on the property, carrying out extensive searches over the following days. The town itself became divided. Some residents called for a swift public inquest, demanding answers and justice. Others urged calm and a return to normalcy, afraid of what a full investigation might uncover. The local newspapers, smelling a sensational story, fed the rumors with lurid headlines and speculative articles. Neighbors locked their doors. Children were kept inside after dark. Over time, the hard facts of the case blurred with gossip, and the story of the inventor's house began its transformation from a police file into a campfire tale. Decades later, historians and folklorists sift through the fragments left behind. Redacted police logs, a detective's water-stained notebook, a few witness statements preserved on crumbling type. Some details align perfectly across all accounts: the concealed compartments, the unusual machinery, the confirmed disappearance of the drifter, Nico Williams. But other elements are contradictory. The dramatic escapes, the unexplained absences of the inventor, the claims of shuffling walls that seem to move on their own. In the end, the Schmitzky case stands between two realities: a documented, if incomplete, investigation and a powerful myth that just keeps growing with each retelling. Whatever the literal truth of what happened inside that house, the story left permanent scars on Hamburg. Families mourned, people who were never found. The house itself was boarded up for years, an ugly monument to the town's fear, before it finally burned to the ground in an accidental fire. And the inventor's name, Schmitz, passed into whispered warnings, a cautionary tale about isolation, obsession, and the dark things that can hide just at the edge of town. Truth, after all, is a mix of fact, fear, and memory. The Schmitzky story, part police file, part ghost story, asks us why towns sometimes turn missing people into legends and what responsibility we have to remember the disappeared. So tell us, which matters more, solving the mystery or remembering the missing? Subscribe for more investigations that explore the dark corners of history and myth.